I'm not going to repeat everything I just said, but let me just say that these sessions are sponsored jointly by three companies, by Apex Environmental, by NOAA Global Solutions, and by Achaix, and we're very happy to be running them. This session is going to be part one of a two-part series that's going to get very hands-on in developing generative AI applications. We'll explain that in a second, but I also just want to say that to our knowledge, nobody has ever really attempted what we're attempting to do here. So we're going to be using Zoom to walk you through the tools to do generative AI development, make sure that you feel comfortable with them. And then in the next session, we're actually going to get very hands-on. You're going to have some homework coming out of this session. And based on that homework, going into the next session, we're actually going to go into breakout rooms. And as in small groups, we'll be going through actually developing a generative AI response based on the homework that you're going to be doing. And we'll explain that in a lot more detail in a bit, but this is a little daring, I guess. So please keep that in mind, basically. But we're very excited about it. Rui, maybe you could go back to the prior slide, because there is some housekeeping I just want to mention to people. You are all muted, basically, but the reason for that is just so that we can save questions and comments for the Q&A section at the end. We will be reserving time towards the end. If you want to make a comment or have a question to ask, go ahead and pop it into the Zoom session using the Q&A function, basically. So as questions come in, we'll keep an eye on them. If there are some that make sense to kind of address real time, we'll do that. Otherwise, we'll take them at the end. We are recording this session, and we will be sending a link to the recording to all registrants who have signed up. So Rui, if now you could go to the next slide, please. I'm going to actually start. Well, let me run through the hosts here, basically, and also introduce our special guests for this session. Emery Coppola, as I mentioned before, is the president of NOAA Global Solutions. NOAA Global offers cutting-edge neural network capabilities. Some of the prior sessions have focused on how NOAA Global has used AI and mathematical optimization to solve some really challenging problems in water management. Rui Tusi is the president of Apex Environmental and Water Resources. Apex offers a variety of services in the water and environmental industries through AI, through automation, and through business intelligence solutions. And I'm Mike Gardner. I'm the CEO of Achaix. We are a fintech offering water accounting and cloud data management software. With us today, we have a special guest, Puriya Sadeghi, who is a vice president at Apex. Puriya's specialty is blending AI, data science, and conventional engineering consulting. He has a background in space and the automotive industries and is now focusing on AI and machine learning for environmental sustainability. And Puriya has also implemented a variety of business intelligence tools and other analytical tools using data and data processes. With that, I'm going to then initiate a poll, and we're going to be, so you can see the questions here, but we're going to actually be doing them real time here, and I'm going to launch the poll. And so you should be getting the ability to answer some questions here. So the first one is, how much do you know about AI? And the multiple choices, ranging from you're very knowledgeable to you don't know really very much about it at all, basically. And if you could respond, you should all be having the ability to respond real time. So if you could please, give us the answers. We're going to be using this in terms of adjusting a little bit towards the end, some of what we're planning to do, basically. And the key is actually the final question for that, number 5. The key in terms of what we're going to adjust is, do you have access to ChatGPT already? And that doesn't show in what we're displaying here. This was a question we added very late, but it is in the poll. So if you could please respond to that. So I can see that 4 people do have access to ChatGPT already. which is 100% of the respondents, but it'd be great to have, to get some additional respondents if we can, basically, because as I said, we are planning to actually use this information to adjust, basically. So most of you have access to ChatGPT already. Some of you don't, but are intending to. More on that later. We're going to be, providing assistance as you need it. That's one of the reasons we wanted to do the survey. Also, if I can just characterize of the respondents so far, most of you have sort of middling knowledge, I would say, of AI. A couple of you are, consider yourselves very knowledgeable, which is great. And then a few of you feel like you're not very knowledgeable at all, and that's not a problem. The purpose of this obviously is to help you advance your understanding and so forth. But that's about the mix that we had expected to see. Most of you think that there are, very good prospects for using AI in water and lots of potential for it, basically. In terms of what you want to gain from this workshop, generally a better understanding of AI makes sense, staying up to date with things, having an actionable plan, and so forth. And then the final one that I haven't talked about already, basically, is where you at in exploring AI solutions. Couple people have already implemented something, which is pretty cool, basically. Most of you, though, are either at the beginning of it or are basically considering it and, hoping from the session to be able to better understand how to do that. And again, that is our goal. In this session, we're going to be walking you through some of the basic tools. We're going to be focusing on one particular tool, ChatGPT. There are other tools, of course. They're all fairly analogous. But in order to simplify it and make sure that we had a very focused session, we're using that as the basis of our work with you. We're going to be walking you through the tool set, giving you some examples of how to use it. And then towards the end, we're going to start getting very specific about some homework, not hard homework. I mean, it shouldn't take you very long, a few minutes on one and a little bit more time on the other. But we're going to give you some homework that you can bring to the second session. And in the second session, we're going to get very hands-on, working with all of you in breakout sessions, in breakout rooms, to actually use the results of the homework and actually run ChatGPT and get results, basically, and so forth. And with that, I think I'll turn it over to you. Actually, well, I'm just going to do a quick sharing of the results. Basically, I already characterized them. By the way, I thought that you were able to see them, but you can't. But I think, most of you are interested in AI and interested in learning more. Some of you maybe know more than others, but I think we're going to be I think we have planned this at just about the right level of knowledge, basically. And we're not assuming that you know very much. We're planning to make sure that you have good foundational understanding. And with that, let me stop talking and turn it over to Rui.
Thank you, Mike, for setting the stage so beautifully and for the introduction. Really appreciate it. As you can see from the survey results, we're all in that middle range, but mostly on that middle range of understanding AI. And it's probably because we have so many new terms and so many definitions from different entities. Everybody has their own definition and ideas of AI. But I try to utilize the Stanford University human-centered AI definitions and also ChatGPT, who knows a lot, to come up with some of the basic definitions that we have in the AI realm. And it starts with intelligence. What is really intelligence? It's the ability to learn, understand, and solve problems, right? It's how we as human beings do our work, understand things, look at the pattern of, oh, this thing is called table, then this is table, and we call that intelligence. But to take that pattern deciphering capability and ability to learn and utilize that for future predictions and give that ability to a computer, to a machine, that is called AI. That is what AI is, the complete study of trying to make machines do what human beings do. And of course, there's a lot of other terms like machine learning is a subset of AI where you utilize data in different formats, in different forms, like supervised learning, reinforcement learning, unsupervised, which Puriya is going to get more into the details of these definitions. But basically, machine learning is a subset of AI that you utilize your data to train your machine to learn from it. And there's a lot of other different terms that I'm not going to get into it. You have it in your recording if you want to take a look at it. But a couple of definitions or 3 definitions that I want to focus on is a smart water utility. What is a smart water utility? Is the integration of AI and Internet of Things technologies in water management system that improves efficiency, monitoring, and decision making. Basically, you have a smart system when all your data are connected, you have access to it, and you can you have sensors that collect the data automatically, brings it to your system, you run your analytics, and you get your visualized data right off the bat on your computer, on your desktop, and you can make decisions right away. And digital twin is somewhat similar to smart water utility, is basically a virtual replica of the physical system that you have all the interactions, the operations, all the data in one platform. It's a one digital replica of your physical system, and you can monitor and evaluate and make decisions based on available data that you have. And another term that is kind of new to myself, but it is something that I heard a lot being discussed in organizational level is narrow AI. Is when so for example, ChatGPT is trained on all the available data in internet and all the open source data. So it's open to the world with the data that it gets, but it could also have access to data that you don't need or you don't want your AI to be trained on. So narrow AI is when you develop a specific tool, a specific AI tool for your organization based on your own set of tasks and data that you have. And I think that's something very, I heard a lot to be discussed within organizations in different water conferences that a lot of the agencies are interested in to develop their own ChatGPT because you don't want to share your data with all the world and making sure that you're making decisions based on your own data only, not the data that comes from other places. But let me get a little bit more in the AI philosophy. I like this part of the discussion and consider myself as an AI philosopher. Well, I personally believe AI is a contemporary industrial revolution, meaning that it's going to impact a lot of the way that we interact with each other, the way that we do our work, and also it's going to impact our environment. So we have to very carefully evaluate those impacts, and we have to be very open-minded. And also, we have to not be afraid of rethinking our thinking patterns and the way that we used to do things in over 30 years, especially in our industry. We've been doing things in a certain way for so long. But AI is an inevitable revolution that is going to impact all industries, including water and environmental. And of course, it's going to have a lot of social impact. The way that our workforce is going to be handling the projects, the way they're going to be doing their tasks, the jobs that used to take so much time to be completed, now is going to take less time. Are we going to put more pressure on them to do more, or are we going to rethink the profitability and what is the goal basically of our organizations? So that's the social impact of it. And the other part is the industrial impact, the way that we do our operations, the way that things are being handled so far. It's not going to be the case anymore because we have all of these new tools, new platforms, new ways of doing things that are going to revolutionize the contemporary, the conventional way of doing things. And at the same time, it has an environmental impact. All of these data centers, all of these CPUs that running these doing all of these processing requires a lot of water to cool down. They emit CO2. They need a precious metal to build the chips and all of that. So all of these are intertwined, and we have to be very careful in our society, in our industry, and be cognizant of these impacts and manage them for successful implementation and change in our industry. But a lot of people think that AI is going to replace jobs and replace people. And we probably heard this term a lot, that AI is not going to replace your job. The person who knows how to use AI is going to replace your job. And that's kind of true. But at the same time, I want to give this notion, this is my personal feeling, that I think that AI is not going to replace us. Our jobs from problem solvers, so far we were the problem as engineers, hydrogeologists, decision makers, managers. We are the problem solvers. We had to come up with solutions ourselves. But nowadays, I think our jobs are going to be transformed to problem definers. How well you can define a problem for an AI tool or a machine to give you the results based on available data and available knowledge. It could be limited, it could be not complete, but it's based on the available knowledge and data. So the power of AI, in my opinion, comes in simplifying the task, in automating the repeated tasks, and make it a routine machine that does all of these tasks and different things that we need to do, and optimize between competing factors. When you have different factors competing with each other, different input from different agencies, and you want to optimize to get to the optimum operation point of all of these various factors, that's where AI excels, because there's so many different things to balance between, and a human brain is limited in that capacity. And the other part is making informed decision making. You have access to real-time data. You have analyzed so many rows of data that you can make an informed decision. Our brain can only handle and evaluate certain amount of data, and it's not comparable to the amount that AI and automation and all of these computer tools can do for us. But again, I want to emphasize that human beings have powers. We are not going to be eliminated in this process. We are there to dream, imagine, and create. AI can never do that, because AI only recreates, regenerates, reimagine based on available data. You give it a certain amount of data, even the generative AI that we're talking about, and that can generate things out of the blue, still it generates based on available data and information. It doesn't create out of nowhere. And that's where our beyond capabilities, our brain capabilities, and our dreaming capabilities come to the picture. And we keep pushing the boundaries of evolution with our dreams and with our imagination. But at the same time, AI is going to free up more time for us to focus on what really matters, and that's our people, that's our community. I think we need a rethinking in our society. We need a rethinking of what's the goal of our organizations, and understand that we do everything. We go to our work, we do our jobs, we generate money and all of those to take care of our people, to take care of our family, to take care of our community. And I think with AI, we can free up time and focus more on what matters, which is our people. And still, human being is needed to monitor, and the expert is needed to monitor and evaluate the results of the AI tool, and make sure that it really makes sense with the physical settings that we have. Again, that's the expertise that we have as experts in our field, that we have to direct, we have to supervise, and we have to monitor and communicate the results of AI with our people, with our stakeholders, with the project stakeholders, with different agencies and collaborators. So it's very important for us to understand there is a power in AI, there's a power in human, and together we can make this a success. We cannot eliminate one or the other and expect that we're gonna be succeeding in this evolutionary path. I personally believe that it is our evolutionary responsibility to create a greater consciousness that has access to all the data and makes the right decision at the right time. And again, it gives us more time to take care of our human and what is really matters in our society. And all in all of this is to reduce the cost of operations. So with AI and automation, you reduce the cost of operations. Maybe there is some upfront cost to set up the tools, set up the systems, get the experts on board to help you implement all of these tools. But in the long run, you're reducing the staff time, you're reducing the monitoring time, all of those. So reducing the cost of operations, and at the same time, reducing the pressure on your workforce. We don't need to have our employees working 40 to 60 hours a week. Maybe that thinking needs to be adjusted and revised as we go through this evolutionary path, and rethink how we do our business. Rethink how we define productivity. And it doesn't mean more profit. It doesn't mean more hours, more time. It actually means more results and more taking care of our people. And again, with all of these systems, we can enhance accuracy and precision of our systems. We're eliminating the human error from the processes and what we're doing. I'm not going to go very deep into the philosophies anymore, and I'm going to pass it on to Puriya, who's going to put some cool examples of the generative AI and its application and promise for our industry.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here, Ruhi, Emery, and Mike. So here, I just want to take you through a very high-level concept and example of generative AI and AI, how we take an example and how we use generative AI at the end for that specific example. So first of all, I want to go through the very general literature and explanation of what's the difference between AI, machine learning, deep learning, and generative AI. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah. So when we talk about artificial intelligence, we can say it's a automated, dynamic, smart system which is able to operate tasks like human, which is we always consider it as a general concept, right? And then when we talk about machine learning is a subset of AI, which you might hear about. Like definitely in previous example, you saw all the mathematics and all the mathematics and models of AI that Emery and his colleagues talk about, and we almost understand what's going on in there in terms of mathematics. And here, so we just want to tell you some high level concepts and models. That what are the models, what kind of models we're using there, right? And machine learning, we have different models in machine learning, like supervised, unsupervised, reinforcements, regressions, and classifications. So when we talk about supervised and unsupervised, we talk about labeled data and data which are not labeled, right? So, and then when we talk about deep learning is a subset of machine learning. And there are different models that you might are already familiar and work with, which is convolutional model, recurrent model, call it as CNN and RNNs, and large language models, which you saw that like we have lots of examples in large language modeling. It's been here since a long time ago. For example, if you see like when you send a text message, you see it suggests you another word, right? That's large language modeling. And like maybe Google search, right? Suggesting you completing your sentence about what search you're gonna do. These are all large language modeling that we are using. And generative AI, which is a subset of deep learning, basically the difference between generative AI and others is generative AI can generate new content for you. What kind of content? It can be code, images, text, audio, videos, and they comes as like sort of data. So next slide, please. So here I try to show you something that gives us very general information of how this process works. So basically, you have a source data. So in basically in machine learning, we normally design three data sets, which is like training data set, which are the data that goes through the input layer, which the blue part is the input layer in the model. And you all know about this model for sure, because we explain it a lot in previous workshops. So we're not going to go to detail about these models. But we have validation data set here, which are the absolute and true values that our model and training data are going and compare each other with those values. And then also test data set, which is your output and going to test itself to see whether the data which is generated is right or not. And as I said, the output code can come as code, audio, image, text, video. Next slide, please. So here, I just want to take you through a simple example. We're not going to go through mathematics and all. So I just want to tell you, this is the first problem that we start talking about with Ruhi, that how we can use AI and generative AI maybe for project. We can monitor habitat, vegetations behind the dam, and what going to be the water elevation effects on the vegetation and habitat behind the dam. And we're going to review just a simple review in high level, that how we have to design, what kind of models we have to use, what are those models, just give you a very general definition of those models, and like what kind of inputs we have to use. So I just want to give you a general picture that for such example, what kind of models we are using. So next slide, please. So these are the steps that we need to take to get the very good application and the end to basically understand and see what's gonna happen based on the water elevation to the vegetation. So the first step gonna be data collection, right? So we have to see what kind of data we need to collect for such project. Definitely it's field data, satellite data, LiDAR data, and data related to meteorological data like weather data and the humidity and things like that. For every project that data is involved, so we need data pre-processing, data cleaning, normalization, data alignment. We have to make sure we have a clean data to feed our model, because garbage in, garbage out, right? So we have to make sure there is no garbage going inside your model. So that all going through the data processing, which is the second steps we're doing. And the third one, which is feature extraction. For example, when for such project, we have satellite data, LiDAR data, right? We have to indicate which one, which part, which section, which color shows vegetation, which one shows water, which one shows land, right? And then the next step is designing the model. For such project, I just brought a few examples here that what kind of models we can use in this project to solve our issue and basically develop a AI model, AI platform, basically. So there are a conventional model, which is like focusing on pictures, like satellite pictures, LiDAR pictures, and we have RNN, LSTM, and GRU, which are basically helping us through time series data. And GRU is a new concept that invented in 2014. And if you just search it in Google, you can find a paper about that. And definitely after running the model, we have to train and evaluate our model, right? So as I mentioned before, we have we have to divide our data to different data set, validation, training, and test data set, right? And then we can adjusting weights to our factors, to our model, so we know that which particle, what kind of weight it gets. And I guess in previous workshop we had a very good explanation about the mathematics behind this, how we can how we consider weight for that function, right? And then tuning our model and validating with a mathematical model. So, and at the end, how we're gonna use generative AI? Let's say generative AI can cover all those models. It comes on top of all those models and evaluation to generate new content for you. And there are different models that we're gonna explain what are those models and what we do with them, which called GANs or variational autoencoders and transformers. And then at the end, basically, you guys need a UI and automated APIs to transfer data automatically, and something that you can, type in and or like write an order and see the result. Next slide, please. So yeah, here we are going to explain for this specific example how we're gonna prepare what are our data and how we're gonna prepare and process our data. So if we divide our data into three different categories, let's say satellite image data, LiDAR data, and numerical data, right? So satellite data gonna be a random data which we are capturing, and LiDAR data, we can consider it as a high resolution data, which can be evaluated as, our validation data as well. And also numerical data like weather, like, water elevation measures. And at the same times, we have different models, like the pictures you see here. On the left, right side on top, left side on top, you see the like real picture with no filter on it. And then on the right side, you see the moisture data. These are different types of data that we can get from the satellites, right? And then we have vegetation data and normal LiDAR data, and we need to clean all those data, right? We have to make sure they are connected to each other in terms of time series, timestamp, right? So these are the different types of data that we feed to our input model, right? So next slide, please. So some of the processing, I just wanted to explain it very briefly. So for image, we need to resize the image, right? We need to align the time series. We need to, basically, if we have missing data, we need to take care of those. And then we need to synchronize all data together to see when it operates, like when the moisture data showing us this, and then what shows in the vegetation's satellite data, basically. These are something that we need to connect them to each other to make sure we get the same result at the same time. We can analyze the results properly based on the time series. So the next slide, please. So for such project, because we are dealing with pictures, and that's why we are using convolutional model, neural network model, which includes basically 4 layers. And the first layer basically is the data which has been cleaned and feed it to the CNN model. And the next one is to extract features out of these pictures, as you can see here. So we can extract what we call vegetation, what we call water, what we call land. So all these edges, so we can focus on the edges and see what's the difference. It's basically, we are using kind of error, we'll be detecting the error basically in these pictures, in these edges, and these errors, which is minus logarithm of the formula, basically. We call it it can be dx or whatever, right? The error number that comes out. And then you can evaluate the error numbers based on this logarithm formula. So, and then we have pooling layers, right? Which is reducing the dimension of the pictures. When we reduce the dimension of pictures, so we can focus more on the details of the pictures. And then at the end, we turn all those 3D dimension maps to a vector, which is a weight. And in the formula, we show it as a W, right? If you participate in previous workshops, you know about that definitely. What are these W rates? And then LSTM, which is a time series, right? So basically, in this project, we are going to use a hybrid model, which using CNN and LSTM. What's LSTM? LSTM is a long short-term memory. So it works basically, it accepts the sequence of the feature extracted by CNN, right? And then capture the pictures and pixels basically based on the time series, and then connect them together through dense layer for the final prediction. Next slide, please. So, and then the next step after, you know, running our data through our models is to train our models and evaluate these models. So as I said before, we need to design 3 data set for all these activities. First is training data set, validation data set, and test. As I said, in training data set, the random data come in and it compares with the validation data set, which are our true values, right? Compare them together, and then we're gonna have the test result, the test data. And then to evaluate all these result in test output, we can use like formulas like mean square error, root mean square error, and like coefficient of determination. These are just the mathematical model that helps us for evaluating our final model to see what's the number of error, how much error we have in our decision. Next slide, please. So now we have done all those machine learning things, right? And here we are going to use generative AI. How we're going to use it? Okay, we're gonna ask AI to show us pictures or create a text for us or create a video for us out of all those analysis, right? So basically it can connect to our output, right? And then run these models on all those data to generate new data for our project. There are different models here that we can use uh, for different purpose, but 3 famous models that we can use here is one is variational autoencoder. You might heard about autoencoders, which is the difference between VAE and autoencoder is that VAE can generate new pictures for you, new data for you, which in this case is picture for us, right? And it includes let's say 3 different sections. Encoder, which is like the input data that coming in, right? And then the code or latent space, so it detects the noise basically. And the decoder, which is like reconstruct your data based on the noises and everything you had in the picture. When we talk about noises, means, you know, dots or something which is not related to, or some items which is not related to the main picture, but it can disrupt the main idea, what's the exact pictures that we are looking for. So these are the VAEs. And then for GANs, we have 2 main components, which is generator and discriminator. So for generator, as I said, generator creates a random noise for a specific parameter. And then the discriminator wants to determine if this generator picture is real or fake. So what's the use of it? Just consider if it's real or fake. So it creates a vector for us. It creates a weight for us that at the end, so the benefit of this vector and this weight is to create a new picture, a new content for us. That's the difference between these models and CNN, because this GANs model can create something new for us, which CNN itself cannot, right? So that's the difference. Next slide, please. So then we have another type of generative AI, which you guys might heard about that, and the name is familiar. It's GPT for text generation. It's like you have all those data, all those outputs, right? And now you want to ask this GPT using large language model is kind of large language modeling, and uh, basically we use transformers. We call the component that we use here is a transformer. And for something like chat GPT that many of you are familiar with right now, we are using around 94 layers of transformers. So transformers includes basically let's say normalization, attention layer, normalization layer, and and so on. And so it's basically helping you to generate a new text. And then the pictures you see here, what we can do at the end with all these technologies is like, okay, we can design a chat box like ChatGPT, right? And you can type and say, I want to see if the water elevation changed this much, what's gonna happen to the vegetation? Show me as a video, show me as a picture, show me as a text. These are the capabilities that generative AI bring it for us, and giving us the benefit to, just by simply typing something, you can generate a picture, you can generate a video. And these are some videos and pictures. This left side is about moisture content in the area, and the right side is about vegetation distribution. Like you just ask a question text and it can generate all these pictures for you. This is something that I try to present in very high level to tell you what kind of models we use for such a simple project. And yeah, and I hope you guys are happy with it.
Thank you, Puriya. No, it was fantastic to see AI in action and how it could be related to our projects. It was very useful for me to see some examples. But now on, we're just going to focus. We're short on time. I'll try to be really fast, but we're going to focus on the next session and what we expect, what you should expect from the next session, and what we expect you to bring on the table next session, which is on July 17. And the plan is to help you ideate or conceptualize your ideas about AI and how you can implement it for your organization challenges and needs, and come up with the scope of work and action plan to implement those ideas for your organization. But before we go there, I want to share a couple of slides with you to plant the seeds in your mind as where to AI, right? Where can you think AI could be applied to your projects and your needs? Well, the most important part and the area that excels very well is where the understanding of physics is difficult, where you have a physical system that understanding numerically and or conceptually with the formulas and analytical methods to understand what's going on in the physics of it. When that is very difficult, AI excels because AI doesn't need to understand the physics. It only needs the indicating data of the system and making a correlation and understanding, deciphering the pattern based on that. An example of that could be interconnected surface and groundwater correlation. As you may know, our sigma is lacking a lot in that area in interconnected surface and groundwater modeling, because it is really hard to understand the Vedas zone water interaction and how they are related to each other. Kind of quantify that relationship is very difficult. And that's where I think AI can excel and help us to understand that, because it only needs the stream gauges flows in the streams, and it only needs the groundwater elevation data, and only needs the weather data, and can give us some meaningful insight as how these are related and interacting with each other. The other part that AI could excel is where there is large data sets to evaluate. You have billions and millions of rows of data that you need to evaluate, consider for your decision making. That's where AI excels, because as humans, we only have so much capability and time to review a data and come up with, decipher some pattern and meaningful insight from it. And that's where AI excels, because it can look at all of these in 1 second and look at all of them holistically, not just one by one. And another example could be where there are questions to be answered, especially in the customer service. You have repeated questions coming to your organization. Hey, what's the billing rate for this month? So blah, 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 blah. And that's where AI, you can create and generate that automation to respond to those questions, to have that chatbot to interact with people. There's when there is a need for real-time decision making, you have a very crucial operation, very important operation that gets input from so many different areas, so many different little operations, and you need to connect all of those and make a decision right away. That's where AI excels. And when there is also a potential for automating those data collections, you can put sensors, you can put devices out in the nature, out in your operations, out in your well field, wastewater treatment plant, to collect all of these data automatically. That's where AI can excel, because you connect the AI with automation, and you have that smart water system, that digital twin that everybody desires to have for their physical system. And all in all, like, repeated tasks and dangerous tasks are being done by AI and automation tools. This slide comes from our previous presentations and workshops. I'm not going to get into the details for the sake of time, but there are a lot of opportunities for AI in water management. You can read into this and get some ideation for your own projects. But here I'm just going to focus a little bit on ChatGPT. Go real quick. I personally use ChatGPT for my own productivity. I write RFPs, requests for proposals from my vendors. I write my proposals with it. I read large documents. I don't need to go read a 100 pages document anymore, because I know what I want to extract from it. And I'm like, okay, go review this and tell me, how is this affecting, for example, groundwater in San Joaquin Valley? And it gives me that excerpt that I need to extract from that large document. I don't need to read it anymore. I can use it for ideation. I go back and forth talking about the particular problem I have and get some feedbacks and insights how I can do it. I summarize notes with it, and one of the coolest features and coolest things I do with it is writing my reports. I don't a report that used to take me a month to evaluate data and make sure that everything is correct, it only takes me a day to generate now. I can conduct research on different topics with it. I can write emails with it, and so many different capabilities that ChatGPT projects. What we do is we share. Let me see if I can share my screen with you. You see this screen right now, right? The screen of the ChatGPT. Okay,
Yes.
perfect. So we have certain times in our environmental consulting, we have results coming from the lab that we need to compare with the regulatory limits that are established with DTSC and WaterWord and other agencies. So here's a prompt I gave ChatGPT. Here are the regulatory limits for air results. Please have them until I ask you. So I give him or her, whatever you want to call it, I give it the reference table, the regulatory limits that I need to compare with. And you have a couple of options to do it. You can attach a file, put a PDF of that file with it. I found it better if I copy paste exactly from my screen. Let me see if I can share the entire screen with you so you can see what was the file itself. So I took this this table from the regulatory limits, and I copy pasted only this table, into my ChatGPT to make sure to get the data of the reference into the ChatGPT. And after this is done, I go down and I shared my own data with it. I went to the lab results that I received, and I copy pasted it from my Excel file. This is the Excel that I had. I copy pasted my data from here, and I put it in the ChatGPT. And here's my prompt to it. Is like, these are the results of analysis for my vapor intrusion assessment report. Please identify each analyte with detected concentrations, report the range of detection and the samples with the range, and compare the results with the regulatory limits. Write me a report with each analyte in one bullet point and the description of the comparison above. And this is the results that I compared, that I copy pasted here. And my results were in 2 batches, and you can see the analysis it did. And my results are in 2 batches. So here's the rest of the data. I shared the rest of the data. It gave me this very good evaluation of what was the range, what was the detection samples, and what is the comparison with the regulatory limits. But here's the coolest part. I cannot put this in my report, right? This is not written in a report style. So I tell him, okay, now write me a paragraph about each analyte, write the range of detection and the samples that the range was detected at, and comparison with regulatory limits. And you can see for each analyte, it gives me benzene was detected in this, blah, 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 benzene chloride, carbon tetrachloride, and each analyte is write it down, but I don't like it. So again, this is where your direction and your vision comes handy, and it's very important in this process because you are telling it how you want to see your report. So in this part, I don't like it that it's lists all the detected concentrations. I go ahead and say, can you revise your write-up for each analyte? So the concentration is shown like this example. Benzene was detected from this sample in this range to this sample, blah. Do not mention all the samples with detection. And it revised the report based on exactly what I wanted to see. And I can copy paste this in my report. Of course, you have to review it. I find errors in it sometimes. But if your data is correct, completely go into the ChatGPT, you can get the reports very carefully and very neatly. Here's another example I want to share with you. I shared an invoice. So I wanted to do a cost analysis with for one of the invoices I submitted. And of course, my rate is not $500 an hour. I wish it was, but this is for the sake of the example. But I have the rates, I have the hours, I have my invoice. So I shared this data with ChatGPT. And I said, here's an invoice for my project. Can you please do a cost profit analysis and give me a report on how much was the cost of labor, cost of vendors, and total project profit? And it does all the calculations, all the manipulation on the data. It gave me some results, and it's a bunch of jargons of evaluation. I don't need all of that. So I'm like, okay, now give me the summary of what you did. And it gave me a summary. I read the summary, and I noticed it assumed a revenue to give me the profit of the project and didn't know what was the cost of project for me. So I had to revise my interaction with it. I was like, do not assume a revenue. The rates are the ones that charge to the client. So the rates that I have in my invoice were charged to the client. 10% markup was for the vendor cost. Assume payment rate. So I gave it the payment rate for all of my staff. This is the rate I'm giving my staff. Now calculate the cost for me and give me the project summary. And it very beautifully analyzed, okay, principal charge this much, synergiologist, staff engineer, PM, all the people charge this much, the vendor cost was this much, and the total summary. You paid this much to your personnel, you paid this much to your vendors, the project cost was this much, total bill to the client was this much, and the profit is this much. So this is an example of how powerful this tool could be for us to do a lot of analysis and evaluations. I'm sorry we're going over the time, but I do want to cover this, the rest of the presentation that we have. Feel free if you have to jump out of the presentation, feel free to jump off. But we're going to set the stage for the next presentation that we have. In the second part of our presentation, we are going to go into the breakout sessions with you. All of us are going to be leading you. We're going to have dialogue. And what we need from you is to bring a short bio or a background on your organization and your operations. What your organization do, basically. You want to introduce yourself and your organization to the chatbot, and then come up with some issues, some priority issues for you that you want to answer. You want to get the results. You want to use AI to streamline and make it a better process and operation for yourself. So bring those priority issues for yourself, and consider the points that we shared with you in these two slides, where to AI and the opportunities for the AI in water management. Come up with projects. Be open-minded. Go beyond limitations and think big. Set the imagination free, and there's going to be a lot of potential to discuss this with the chatbot and come up with the ideation. And we're going to walk you through that in next step. And make sure that you have access to ChatGPT. Let us know if you need help with setting that up. Don't be scared. Talk to the AI, and it's the future that we're going to be working with. So with that, I'll pass it on to the questions, and Mike, if you have anything left.
Let's we are over time, but maybe we could just take one or two quick questions if anybody has any. We also do have a quick poll which we're going to use. I'm going to launch the poll now, and we'll be running it, and you can answer. But we will. But do we have any questions? Basically, you should be seeing, I think, the poll questions. But any questions for the Q&A?
I saw a question about how we use ChatGPT to write proposals.
Yeah, so Rui, I answered that and said that we can show a quick example of that in the next session.
Perfect.
As kind of we can do a little bit of a review here. So, we covered a lot of ground today. We did an overview of kind of the whole field of AI, but we progressively narrowed through to a discipline within all of AI called generative AI. Within that, we showed using a very specific tool, one of the generative AI tools, which is ChatGPT. In the next session, with the homework results that you have, we'll come back and work with you. We'll go into breakout rooms. We'll be working with you to use the information regarding your organization and its goals to use those as prompts. And we'll be using ChatGPT to generate essentially a strategy for how you can use AI within your organization to accomplish those goals. Again, this is a little bit experimental, but we've tried this actually and done some test runs on using these prompts, and we expect that we're going to get some pretty interesting and pretty useful results working with you, that you will get useful results, basically, because each of those will be custom, will be yours and will be based upon your specific prompts. So that's the vision for the next session. I posted I'm going to share the results of the poll here, basically, so you can see them, just in terms of your peers and so forth. I posted the registration for the next session into the chat. When we send the email with the recording link, we'll also, of course, include the registration URL to register for the next session. And with that, we'd like to just say thank you for joining. Hope you found it interesting, and we're looking forward to going into the next stage in the next session. And with that, thank you and have a great rest of your day.